All right, everyone. It seems that Julia Reda, one of the MPs that was informing people regarding Article 11 and Article 13, just tweeted out saying that they passed. It was such a decisive vote, and they didn't even want to consider amendments. Which again shows how undemocratic the EU is. Like there was never a talk about this in my country. There were protests against it, but no one cared. In fact, there were fake news traveling around the European Union saying that the people who are protesting against it are Google bots. Because in their infinite wisdom, they noticed that people who were sending emails were using Gmail accounts, and as such, obviously, they must work for Google. This is a way that I understand the German politicians do things. If the public doesn't like something, first they call you racist, sexist, xenophobic. But if that doesn't work, they just say that, oh, it's just a minority, it's just bots or something like that. Disgusting, absolutely disgusting. But what can you do? There was also this fake study that was going around a couple of days ago. And I wanted to make a video about it, but I guess there's no point now. The study was being sent to European MPs, and there were people who debunked it. But it doesn't even matter if the study is true or not. Like, all it needs is to seem legit on the surface, so that the MP looks at it and goes like, oh, okay, so it's scientific now. It's scientifically there are Russian bots against Article 11 and 13, and it's not people with actual concerns. I believe this was what the study was about. It was showing like activity on Twitter, and it was showing that it's coming from Russia. So clearly, most people in the European Union are incredibly ecstatic and happy about Article 11 and 13, and anyone who says anything different is either a bot, a troll, or a foreigner. Now, there is this German newspaper, which I used Google Translate, so if you see any broken English, this might be it. And they released this article today saying that the reason the French were convinced to vote on Article 13 has something to do with gas from Russia. And this is not surprising at all. This is really how things are done in the European Union. It's like, you vote for this, we vote for that. And they don't care about the people. Like, all of this has to do with economic interests, or all of this has to do with companies. Sometimes, if you look at the MPs, the European Union, they're actually invested in some corporations, so obviously they are going to vote according to their personal interests rather than what the people want. And apparently there are clear documents that FAS was able to see. So there's an evidence for a long debated in Berlin digital circle rumors. According to Germany, therefore, the compromise is to support, because this attitude was linked to a completely different project, namely with a concession from France in dispute over the Nord Stream 2 gas pipeline. So the criticism of the reform is louder in Germany than in any other EU country. And this was true. Like, there were, I believe, 30,000 people reported from Germany to protest against Article 11 and 13. And there were even more protesters in different cities of Germany. And they don't like the new rule because it encourages YouTube to use content filters. It's going to have upload filters now. In the best case scenario, by the way. Worst case scenario, YouTube is going to shut down. In fact, Alex Voss, the proponent of Article 11 and 13, stated outright that he wants YouTube to shut down. Like, he said, if platforms like YouTube can't operate according to his wishes, then they don't belong on the market. Now, again, for those of you who don't know what Article 11 and 13 is, maybe I should have started with this. The problem is that right now, if I post some copyrighted material, well, what happens is that the person that copyright I violate can sue me, and they can go against me, so I'm the one responsible, meaning I'm the one who has to pay money. So you can understand the problem, right? Because if that's the case, it insensitizes me not to put copyrighted content, because I don't want to get sued. But the new law makes YouTube liable. So if I post copyright content, YouTube pays. which means that YouTube is also vulnerable to trolling, right? Because you can have people raiding YouTube, just posting music and movies on it, and the companies are just going to sue YouTube. So now the question is like, is YouTube going to make an upload filter for this, or are they just going to shut down the ability for people in Europe to upload and turn Europe into a bunch of consumers rather than producers? This is also something that can happen. So apparently in Berlin government circles say that Altmaier wanted to enforce the ancillary copyright at all costs. Representatives of the publishing industry, in particular Springer CEO Mathis Dupfner, also have direct access to the Ministry of Economic Affairs. Also with the Chancellery Minister Helge Braun, CDU Dupfner had telephoned and recruited for the project. How this newspaper learned. Again, you need to understand the broken English, it's Google Translate. The Ministry of Justice still assumes that French would support an exception for small businesses, wiped unceremoniously in Altmaier's house now from Rumgemhabt, should even have been the speech. Anyway, let's see if I can find the thing which I found incredibly interesting. France was reluctant at the time to respond for Germany's request for the EU gas directive, which is important for the construction of the Nord Stream 2 gas pipeline. The temporal coincidence with copyright now offered new opportunities to break through the knot. The French are traditionally among the advocates of very strict copyright in the European Union. For example, in France, it is forbidden to upload pictures with graffiti or the illuminated Eiffel Tower on photo platforms. Both would be allowed in Germany because of the copyrighted panorama freedom. The gas directive now played a trump card for France. In Brussels, a representative of France openly mentioned this useful coincidence to the newspaper. So basically, it's you scratch my back, I scratch yours. Now, what will happen? Well, now it's up to individual countries to pass internal legislation that's going to comply with Article 11 and Article 13. So it might take a little while until that happens. Like it might take, I don't know, a year, maybe two, maybe less. I mean, depending how urgent the EU will want to crack down on this. The main problem is what YouTube is going to do, because YouTube, as I mentioned, can just cancel the possibility for Europeans to upload, which leaves Europeans like myself with very little choice. I can, for example, just get an American in charge of my YouTube account. I can film myself and then send on Discord or another program that video for the American to upload. I can also go on the border. I live very close to it, so I can record at home and then travel to Moldavia. It's like a half an hour travel, so every day I'll just have to go there, go to an internet cafe and upload it wireless. For other people, I guess VPNs might be an option. I don't know, depending, like if YouTube will even allow people to use VPNs. Or maybe they probably wouldn't even care. Like if they just outright ban the European Union, then it's like, well, it's Europe's problem. They might not care. The problem is with other companies like BitChute, like smaller upstarting companies, they might not be able to do business in Europe at all. So no clue on how that will work out. There's also the question with Facebook, Twitter. Like for people who don't know how bad this is, there are publications, I believe the LA Times is one of them, which you can't access it from Europe. And the reason you can't access it is because they can't comply to the European Union's demand of preventing privacy information. If you guys remember the Cambridge Analytica scandal, after that the EU passed some legislation in order to force websites to inform you about privacy, and it's very annoying. Like every time I go on a website I have to click I accept, but some websites can't do that, so they just blocked all of the traffic in Europe. And we'll see how this happens. Like we'll see how this plays out. Right now no one knows. But what I do know is that I'm going to find the most Eurosceptic party in my country. Like the party that has a guy with a Jesus on a cross tattooed on his cock. There must be such a gentleman. Someone that is incredibly religious, right-wing Christian, like that type of person. and that is the person that I'm going to vote for. That is the gentleman that I'm going to make sure I'm going to send to the European Union. Someone like the most xenophobic person, someone that's like, Romania, fuck yeah, you know, like a Donald Trump version of Romania. Romania first. That's the type of person that I'm going to send to the European Union. Why? To inconvenience. That's why. If they inconvenience me, I'm going to inconvenience them. I've never voted for the European Union parliamentaries before. No, never. But now I do want to vote. Now I do want to vote. Like, why did they do this? Why did they do this? Like they get to piss me off and I can't piss them off. No. I have like the ability once every 4 years to vote, and I'm going to do that. And I'm going to encourage all my friends to do that as well. Let me know what you think. I'll see you guys in the comment section.